when putting the awning out, I think it's a good idea to have these uprights on an angle. Helps you keep it all tensioned. So rather than having it perfectly vertical, I like to mount them so that they're on a bit of an angle like that, and that way you can tension the guy rope, which puts more pressure on the canvas. I like to use these 200mm coach screws available from Bunnings and Mitre 10 instead of the traditional tent pegs. So that's nice and strong. When it comes to guy ropes, I like to use these clips that are available from camping shops. And instead of tying your guy rope onto here and then pegging it out, which means in a gale you'll need to untie it, you can just put this clip on to the awning pole, attach your guy rope, peg out your guy rope. Then when a wind comes, a strong wind, you want to put the awning away, all you need to do is loosen the guy rope, take that off, throw it on the ground, and you can put the awning away a lot quicker. Again, using another one of these screw-in coach screws. Even with it partially in, it cannot be removed. The only way to remove it is to put your drill into reverse and unscrew. You just need to tighten up your guy. Of course, always have springs on your guy, that reduces the stress on everything. You may have seen a previous video by my guest Jay where we showed you how to tie down the awning using a technique called frapping, using a bit of rope just to run it over the top of the canvas to bend it down. This is a technique that I prefer to use, just using some rather cheap deflappers. They're available in most camping stores. I think the rope is an excellent technique, but I think it does have the potential to wear at your fabric if you use it continuously. But I have used that technique myself. I don't need any ladders in this caravan. That's the only device I need. And I always tell my partner in climb, I've just removed the step. I've taken the step away. So it's a simple matter of making sure this is clamped nicely on your canvas. Using the term canvas loosely there, not a traditional cotton canvas by any means. You just need to clamp it on there. And then adjust the Velcro. And you bend it down and Velcro it on. Now I think there's quite valid criticism from certain people. They don't like this technique in that it can deform, misshapen the canvas over time, and I'm sure that's correct. So some people prefer to use the anti-flap kits, which clamp onto here, piece of metal, and go out to this boom on the awning. And I'm sure that's an excellent technique. Obviously it is more expensive. The advantage of the anti-flap kits are they're the same mechanism that you would attach annex walls to. So if you're going to have an annex attached to your caravan, which we do not possess an annex, then that would be the preferred technique. So this is certainly cheap. I'm not particularly worried if I'm misshaping this a little bit, because I'm not attaching an annex at this stage anyway. This is how we set it up if we're staying in the one place for a longer period of time. We're going to be at this campsite for 2 months, but we might set it up like this if we're here for more than a day or two. If we're only staying one night, we don't tend to peg out the uprights like this. We'll leave them attached to the caravan on an angle, and then using this to pull the fabric down nice and taut. The danger of doing that is it's very easy to hit your head on these, and maybe I'll do a video on that, how to avoid that. We have the privacy screen or the shade cloth device out, and I found these really nice shock cord tent tie downs just in a small country hardware, so they're excellent. If you find those, certainly invest in those. The importance of springs on guy ropes and also here on the privacy awning is it gives a bit of relief. If the wind gets up, it can stretch rather than just pull the pegs out of the ground. From this end you can see the shape of the fabric here prevents that flapping that you'll get during a stronger wind. And it's also important, you get a lot of noise from these rattling here, and it's incredibly noisy when you're inside the van in the middle of the night trying to sleep. It's just a small rattle there makes quite a lot of noise inside. So you really need to make sure that you push this joint as far apart as possible before you tighten it up, even maybe putting force on here and then pushing it apart and then tightening it up so you don't get that rattle there. You may need to retighten it there a couple of times. Last thing I need to do is put the end shade up. We're getting a bit of sun, as you can see, in this end, so I'll put this one up. Now normally they will recommend for a pop-top awning a privacy screen that attaches to here. Then you have this big triangular section where sunlight comes through. So I did something a little bit different, and I've opted for the full caravan privacy screen end, and I attach it along the line there to try and cover in this frame. I'll show you how to do that next. So I've laid out the privacy end piece for a full caravan on the artificial turf here, and if you look at the artificial turf here, it's a straight edge along here. You can see it's roughly triangular at the top, whereas one for a pop top will be more of a rectangle. So on a pop top caravan you always have these clamps to tie down the roof section, and the other part of that clamp is up here, and I actually attach the shade cloth privacy screen to that part. So the privacy screens come with these Velcro straps, and I've just simply put a bit of cable tie and a loop through there, and all I need to do is then attach that. I've adjusted it so it fits nicely on there, so it then holds that rather securely. That's filling in that triangular section of shade a lot better than having the pop top version, which would only come to here. The privacy screens for the ends always come with these Velcro strips, and all I've done is I've put a loop of cable tie on the end of the Velcro strip, and that allows me to put that onto that catch there quite firmly. Now the breeze has got up a little bit, and some of the eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed it's not attached at the bottom because we have some artificial grass matting here, so I don't want to put pegs in through that. I did peg out this upright here, but I found a spot where there was already a hole from a previous camper, and so I put a peg through there. So what I'm going to do is, and I've camped on this spot before, I'm going to run a rope through the eyelets at the bottom and peg it out, tie one end to underneath the caravan and peg out the other end, and that should stop it blowing around. These clear top canvas utility bags are excellent. I've bought them from 3 different companies. This one's from Aldi, this one from King's, but they're excellent just for organising your camping stuff. Another one of these bags in here. Get them out from the middle of the tunnel boot. I use these hooks that H.Cody kindly supply in case you can't reach your awning if you're on a slope. I have bungee cords, whereas in Australia we call them hockey straps. So when they're in a tangle, they're like an octopus. I should just be able to get away with one. Okay, this end I'm just going to clip into the awning upright clamp, and this end I'll attach a hockey strap, peg that out, and I'll tidy it up so it's a bit neater. That gets me off the mat, and I can put a peg into the ground there. Anytime we get something with a useful little bag, I usually put it aside for camping. This was held the cover for some outdoor furniture. We should never use the bag again. I put my tent pegs in there. Don't know how long that'll last, but by putting things in smaller packages, you tend to be able to stop the mess. So again, using these 20cm coach screws. Okay, so I'm just going to peg that out with this 20cm I should say, peg. I use a normal drill. This is also a hammer drill. Here I'm just using it in normal drill. Method. In some soils which are particularly rocky or shaly, I actually find it useful to put it into hammer drill, and these coach screws will hammer through loose stone and shale quite nicely. I haven't used an impact drill in this circumstance. It may be useful as well. I'm not ruling it out. I just don't have one. So that will now give some relief if there's some strong wind, and gives nice shade. Got a bit of a crease in the middle. I don't think I'll worry about that. And finally, the view from the inside, you can see that big triangular section at the top is filled in, I won't say perfectly, but a lot better. It's going to give a lot more shade than if we just had a rectangular shade cloth, which I usually recommend for pop top caravans.